Hi, Money Magicians. Welcome to episode 8 of the Money Magic series. My goodness, I'm loving this series so much. Thank you for the feedback, you guys. Today, my guest is Khanya, right? I felt like it was imperative that we at least get one of the men in the course to come and speak about the course because people always ask me, are there any men in the course? And I'm like, yeah, they are. They there. They just don't say much. But Khanya is active. He says a lot. He feeds back. So thank you for saying yes to the interview, Khanya.
Yeah, thank you, Vangile. I'm glad to be here. The thorn, the active thorn amongst the roses is here today.
Right? Everyone's been saying how brave you are because you like constantly there and you comment and feedback and share about your reactions and even tears and share how you cried during some sessions, and we're all like, wow, that is so amazing. So that is really awesome. So please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yes. So I'm Khanya Ngonyama. My background is mostly in water and environmental science because I've got a passion for all things involving the environment. Basically, I'm very passionate about the so-called green economy. Anything about sustainability, such things such as your solar energy, green energy. I'm very passionate about that. Yes, but I'm also into real estate investing. Yes, and I'm also now in the long term looking at doing some coaching when it comes to property.
Ah, okay. Wow, that is amazing. So, Khanya, we featured you in the Property Magicians podcast. I can't, off the top of my head, remember what episode it was. I think it was in the 20s, not in,
26.
yeah, 26. So, guys, go check out Khanya's podcast in the Property Magicians podcast, episode 26. He shares his property journey. So, quite awesome. He is a real estate investor. So, I just also reeled him in for that. So, but Khanya actually joined the Money Magic course after being on the podcast, which was so interesting. So, Khanya, please tell us why you decided to join the course before I even start asking the other questions.
Yes. So basically, after doing the podcast and seeing the work that you were doing, I got very interested, very curious in the work that you were doing. So I first started off doing the bank account challenge.
Yes.
And yes, I found that the exercises there in the bank account challenge, like for example, falling in love with your bank account, and when you instructed us to hold out your bank statement and just observe the feelings that one was feeling when you are holding your bank statement. I found that very interesting, which then intrigued me to join the Money Magic course because I felt that I'll be gaining even more value in the Money Magic course.
Ah, okay. And we're going to go talk about the course more in depth soon. But before we even get to the course, tell me, what does money mean to you? How do you describe money to an alien?
So what I'll say then is that money is like a form of energy exchange. It represents energy to exchange, basically between more than one party, where you're using the money to exchange, for example, for a service or a product. And also I would also describe it as being a tool, because it's a tool that one can use to gain access to more options and more freedom. For example, one of the things that I also like is traveling, because I've got an adventurous side to me. So money represents something that gives me access to that traveling. But most importantly, it's a form of energy. And then that energy can either be expended or it can be contracted depending on who is holding that energy.
Yes.
Yes.
What you've just said there is so powerful. I feel like we need to just unpack it just for a little while, right, Khanya? Because you just said something so powerful about depending on who is holding this money, this energy, it can be expanded or contracted. What does that mean? Because people just think, oh, I just get the money. And of course, just having money is enough. Just give me the money. This idea that you can contract it is, whoa.
Yes. So they basically, you by rather focusing on abundance and focusing, of course, on how you can like diversify your streams of income and having like a more of a, let's say, positive connotations towards money, you are more likely to expend the money. But for example, those of us who usually travel in your airlines, they usually tell us to first put on our own oxygen mask before putting on the one for the next person next to you.
Yep.
So now money can be seen as being like that oxygen mask that if you can sort out your money story first, and it's like putting on your oxygen mask, then you can expand it, help others to put on their own oxygen masks. But at the same time, if you see money as like as like the root of all evil, as some people do, especially the people
Yes.
who are into religion, some of the religious people, then money can
Yes.
actually be contracted.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because obviously, if I'm thinking that something is evil and I want to keep myself pure, my spirit or my soul pure, I don't want to have that thing in my life, in my midst, you know?
Yes.
So I will find a way to get rid of it, or as you said, contract it, limit the amount of that energy in my space, because the connotation is that that energy is evil. So I
Yes.
want to do away with it as much as possible. So,
Yes.
wow, when did you start suspecting that your money story wasn't just about money, but about something deeper than money?
Yes. So it happened basically about 2 years back, because I thought that I was doing all the right things. I'd
Yeah,
even I started doing even going into things such as franchising, but then they were not working
yeah.
out. And then I thought, okay,
Ah,
I thought that okay, after reading all of these books about money and finance, all the knowledge was there. I knew what to do, but
yeah,
things were not working out. So I thought
yeah.
to myself that there must be more to this. There must be maybe something also in terms of my psychology.
Wow, that is so interesting. I love what you've said, you know, about you were getting the knowledge. And so you knew intellectually what to do, but like applying, when you applied the knowledge, it just wasn't coming together, right?
Correct.
I
Yes.
think that so many of us could resonate with that, because you've literally just explained my story. Like, I have a finance degree and I have an MBA, and like, so I know about finance, know about it, but it just wasn't able to come together in my life. So that is actually quite interesting what you've said, because I think so many people resonate with that.
Yes.
So when you heard about the Money Magic course, what did you imagine it was? And what did you think you'd be doing in the course? I mean,
Okay.
you'd already done the bank account challenge, right? So,
Yes, yes, yes. I had already done the bank account challenge, but then I thought just by looking at the name of the course, the Money Magic course, I was under the impression that we are going to mostly learn about the practical stuff, such as things such as certain tricks and tips that you had picked up yourself in terms of how to budget, and also giving us certain tips about online tools that we didn't know about. I wasn't really picturing meditations and certain vows. Yes.
oh wow. So now what do you think about the course? How do you feel about having signed up?
Now, after having signed up, and I feel that the course, it was one of the best investments that I've made in myself, because I never knew about the healing and trauma. Now, the way that you've explained, especially the fact that some of the trauma is also stored in the body. And I never knew about that there was such a thing as ancestral trauma, because I thought trauma is individual. It's only based on and what you have experienced yourself as an individual. Yes.
Wow. That is so interesting. And I think like it makes sense, you know, because when I used to think, when I was healing my depression, it was a friend of mine who said to me, maybe your depression is not just your own, it's also ancestral. And I mean, I come from a household where people have been practicing ancestral spirituality. And so I knew about this. But growing up, you know, you hear people say certain things. And at the time, my mother had been told that I have this gift and that she needs to get me tarot cards and that I can do work with tarot and I can heal. But growing up, I tried my best to reject everything, you know, because everyone around me was like, what is this? So I also didn't want to acknowledge that. So when I was told that, I was like, oh my gosh, please don't tell me I have to go back into the life that I grew up hearing about and learning about, you know. So I was just, I really wanted trauma to be just individual because of my own trauma of, I've shared a lot about my vow of rebellion towards my mother, you know, and my father. So like my dad is very much about Western ways of healing, and because he's a pharmacist. And then my mom is about the traditional ways of healing. So I was stuck in this deep vows of rebellion to either side. You know,
Yes.
so nothing was working until I had to start healing the ancestral trauma. So
Yes.
that being said, though, please can you share with us about what you have learned, your own individual experience in the course about trauma? How has your view of trauma shifted, and what have you started to deeply understand about ancestral trauma? What have been some of your aha moments from the course?
Yes. So my understanding of trauma now has changed from thinking that it's just only what happens like mentally and what you are experiencing mentally or psychologically. Now I understand that trauma is actually, it can actually be stored in the body, something that I didn't know
Mm,
before. And also that with trauma itself, the definition of it is not just the things that happened, like the big things that happened, which are like devastating things. Trauma can also represent some of the things that we often undermine, such as having like a critical teacher or a critical parent, because when you
mm,
have a teacher who is very critical, then those types of experiences, they shake up your nervous system, and then your
yes,
nervous system will actually end up being always on the edge, which then also
yes,
which represents trauma. And
yes,
I also didn't know that with when it comes to healing your own trauma, you are also healing
mm,
your ancestors, and you are also healing
yes,
future generations. Yeah,
yes,
so I
yes.
didn't know that trauma and healing, they are actually quite multidimensional.
Yes. And I feel like when we talk of healing future generations, it's not even that deep, right? It's that if I was brought up by a critical parent, which I was, and then
Yes,
if I don't heal my trauma, then chances of me responding to my kids in a similar manner would are very, very high. So then I then re-traumatize the next generation because I haven't healed my own drama, right?
yes,
So in healing trauma, it's not always just the spiritual element, although there is a deep spiritual element to it, right? It's
yes,
also just that just by simply healing ourselves, we change the way that we respond to situations.
yes,
So which means that the way that we react to the next generation, our nieces, our nephews, our own children, is so different. So we don't pass on the same dramas to them and the same hang-ups and issues that we were given, right? So it's just really that powerful.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. And also that when one experiences trauma, the trauma is not just something that would happen to you. Trauma would also be something that you would be observing. For example, a child that
Yes.
a child that sees their parents arguing, that may actually
Yes.
be trauma to them. And then that child, if they
Yes.
don't experience any healing, they are also in future
Mm.
likely to associate relationships with arguing.
Amen. Amen. That is the absolute core of trauma, right? And I think what you've just said is so powerful, Kanya, because there are actually studies now being done that sometimes observing a traumatic event that is happening to another person can be as traumatic as it happening to you, because what it does is it also adds the element of powerlessness. What you've just said about watching a child observing parents who are arguing, or worse, a child observing a mother who is getting beaten up, or a father that is being abusive or whatever, is actually getting traumatized at times even more than just the parent getting beaten up, you know? So there's just a lot of studies being done there, right? And it's
Yes.
actually so interesting to me because, as we talk about in the course, trauma is such a layered experience. And what we don't, and I think once we start on our healing, we start to understand that actually even putting the next generation in a situation where they get to observe us being traumatized or being treated in a particular manner can be equally as detrimental to them psychologically and emotionally. You know, even if it may not be physical or they are not experiencing the emotional or the verbal, just them being in that situation is enough of a trauma. And I think before we came from the situation, as long as he doesn't touch my kids, or there's no arguing happening, my kids are not involved, and I'm the one taking all the arguments, taking the blows, not having the peace. And it's like, no, sometimes because kids don't have the mental capacity to process things, it can
Yeah,
be more detrimental to them, because they literally just, they don't have the reasoning power that you have as an adult. So
exactly.
thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Kanya, how did you feel about money before starting the course? And do you see a shift in how you show up with money now and discuss money with clients, friends, and family since the course?
Yes, then. So how I was feeling about money before, I was
Mm,
having like certain emotions such as anxiety and guilt, especially
yeah,
in my line of business when it came to pricing, because
yeah.
I used to always try to just adopt, or to just to level down to the price that the client will be comfortable with, instead of me
Yes.
instead of me just setting my own pricing based on my value. I was focusing too much on
Mm,
what the client wants, because there was a sense of desperation that I really want this
mm,
client. So I want to satisfy the client.
mm.
And therefore, well, one will always try to adapt to whichever client, and say, this client
Yes.
is like this, I must set my price like this.
Mm,
This one is like this,
yes.
I must set the price like this. And also,
Phew.
even having certain emotions such as guilt, whereby I would feel that, okay, if I'm making a bit more money, now I'm going to be feeling a bit more guilty, because I may be seen as being a bit arrogant because I'm having more money than other people.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah. So has that changed? Has your pricing model changed?
Yes. Now what I'm doing now is because there was also the vow of not good enough. So now my pricing is based on my own value, the value that I feel I have and I'm representing. the value that I am
Yes.
bringing to the client. And if the
Yes.
client is not satisfied with the price, then they can actually go and find someone else or another company that will give them the price that they are looking for. Because that
Mm.
way, I feel that way I will be getting clients who know what they want and they understand the value of the service that I'm bringing across.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now
But
I'm not compromising my pricing now.
whew. And Kanya, I know there are people out there listening and going, yo, I'm going to lose clients. Have you not lost business? Have you not experienced a drop in your income with this mindset and this way of thinking?
Yes. So there was one potential client who actually wanted a quotation for like
Yeah.
a water treatment system. And then
Yes.
I told this client that we don't start the project until we get a 50% deposit.
Yes.
We don't do anything until we see a deposit. And
Yes.
then the client, then they just kept quiet and they've not come back to me since then. And I'm not having like bad feelings. I'm not feeling like I've lost the client. I feel, well, there was their choice. And
Yeah.
someone else who understands will come back to me.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So let's talk about your income because I think right now people are like, oh my gosh, like he lost a client. This is like crazy. Since starting the course, how I'm thinking people are probably thinking it's so crazy that he thinks this is the best investment he's ever made. And he's just talking about losing clients. Tell us about how your streams of income have evolved and grown since starting the course. You've not even been in the course for 3 months. You've been like 2 months, 2.5 months maybe in the
Yeah.
course. So
Yes.
what tell us about your income. Has it grown? Has it shrunk? Yeah, what's happened?
Okay. So what I've noticed now then is I'm having now some new income streams which have been are manifesting. For example,
Yes,
besides the main water business, then
yes,
on the real estate side, I'm
yeah,
feeling that now there's I'm venturing into the Airbnb space more and more
yes,
because
yes,
during the whole COVID-19 and lockdown period, people were saying that you
yeah,
will not make money on Airbnb. But then I thought,
yes,
no, let me see it for myself and rather
yes.
only, yeah, but now since the lockdown, I've actually had more income on Airbnb. And also,
Wow.
yes, and also besides that, I've also now just started a new business in terms of hiring out motorbikes to Uber Eats drivers. So the
Yes.
income streams are they are slowly diversifying.
Yeah. Wow. So there's been a growth in income streams. We were so
Yes,
excited to read that.
yes, and
Right?
also
So
I
and
feel that
I was one of those in the group that was like, guys, don't go into Airbnb, but listen to your intuition. And I love that the students get to just be like, just ignore Van, like she's just doing her usual thing. Because I think what you've just shown, Kanya, is that what works for someone else may not necessarily work for me. And if your intuition and your gut as you're doing the work is saying Airbnb, it doesn't
yes,
matter what I say or what the outside world is saying, you know? I mean,
yes,
you've had an amazing experience with Airbnb and you are loving it and you've even shared tips with us and things like that, which is amazing. But I think that that's because it works for you and it made sense for you when you sat down and you looked at your income streams. And I think that is so, so powerful. You know, it
yes,
shows again that so many things, like you said, it's about our energy and the alignment. So
yes,
it's possible for two people to go into a business and get two totally different results, even though they're doing the same thing at the same time.
yes, exactly, yes. And also, I'm noticing also that when it comes to the income streams, that there is that sense that it doesn't have to be too hard, because we grew up in a culture where we were told that making money has to be hard. You have to be sweating. If you are not
Yeah.
sweating, then you don't really deserve it. If you are not sweating,
Yeah.
and you are made to feel that if it came easily, you're supposed to feel guilty, and
Yeah.
people would question, how did he get it?
Yeah.
If it came too easy.
Yes. I have an uncle who says to me when I go home, he's like, you should just tell us if you're like if you're running drugs or something, we'll understand, because you just come home, you chill out, you're on your cell phone. And I'm always like, I promise you, I am on my cell phone and working. I'm not playing games or doing things. I just work from my phone. But he's like, you should just tell us, because it doesn't make sense. Because like then in like a few weeks later, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do a weekend getaway. Then you're off to another country. Then you're doing something else. No, and I'm just like, honestly, uncle, there is no reason for me to go and be in the field and putting on a suit, and so now you can see I'm hustling from sunrise to sunset. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly. Yes.
So this is such a deep culture, and what you've just said is so powerful, Kanya.
Yes.
It's interesting that you diversified into other streams of income, and you're growing your income and not doing the hashtag team no sleep in the process. You're not
Yes.
killing yourself to make this happen. And I think that right there is powerful. And literally, this happened over a 2-month period.
Yes.
And in that time period, what have you seen happen with your debts and your savings? Tell us about that. Have you seen a decrease in debts? What's happened?
Yes, man. So basically, before starting the course, I had quite a few debts, such as a credit card debt of about
Yes.
30,000 rand, and also
Wow.
yes, and also a personal loan of about, I think it was more than 5,000 rand. But now,
Yeah.
since doing the course, uh,
Yeah.
particularly also what you taught us during the bank account challenge was for one to
Yes.
also see, uh, are your expenses a reflection of your values? So
Yes.
what I've now done and questioned myself, and I've clarified, is that I don't have to feel guilty for spending on certain things, because I grew up
Yes.
being told that self-deprivation, which is often linked to self-discipline, is the key to financial.
Yes.
So
Yes,
now I
like
see that.
starving yourself of the things that you want. If I see a jean that I want, or I see a handbag that I want, I must be self-disciplined. I should not even allow myself to look in that direction and get it. Guys, how
Yes,
do we live like that? Like, we're on this planet to enjoy life also. I'm not saying go out and buy every single handbag. In fact, as you do the inner work, you realize that so many things that you thought you liked are things that you don't really like. But the things that you really like, no matter how pricey they are, suddenly you can afford them.
yes, yes. So what I've now noticed is that yes, I've ended and killed off those two debts, the credit card and the personal loan, and
Wow,
it's made.
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It's now making me feel a bit more at ease, like in terms of
Yeah,
my my feelings of relaxation when I'm, and also the ease of grieving, because when you are under
yeah,
stress and you know that you've got certain debts, it also
yeah.
shows up in your breathing. Your breathing can be
Yes.
sort of like a bit shallower.
Yes, wow. You've really learned in the course, right? I mean, you are taking us through the values, you're taking us through the breath, and you've been in your body. But that's the one thing that I will say, Kanya, you've been so connected to your body throughout all the exercises. I mean, you come back and you tell us exactly how your body was feeling, the shifts that you noticed during the breath work or any of the meditations. So it's very, very powerful. And I think what you keep mentioning, what you've mentioned about the breath is that what we've been taught so often is that healing is a mental exercise. You know,
Yes.
I just change my mind. And you've mentioned several times already about the nervous system. And really what it is that a lot of our trauma is stored in the body. Sometimes we're changing our mind, but
Yes.
what is happening in the body, the trauma is still in the body, and there needs to be a somatic, which is like body healing, that is incorporated in this journey, you know, which
Yes.
is so, so powerful, because that's when you start to realize that I've been holding my breath for such a long time. And I think most of us don't even realize that we haven't fully been breathing, or that we don't even realize that we've sat with a pain in our shoulders or in our backs for so long that we've normalized it, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's part of us storing that trauma, that we've just learned to deal with it to the point where we just don't even bother about it and we just shut it off. But it's not normal, you know? So, yeah, that's something so powerful.
And
So,
also then when you also taught us about the to list 10 things that bring us physical pleasure, that also
yes,
then made one to realize that part of the healing process is also just giving your body the physical
yes,
pleasure, since obviously
yes.
some of the trauma is stored physically.
Yes, right? And I'm loving that. I love that what the course also grows in these aspects of that healing doesn't have to be constantly this insane weight, you know, that like it's so stressful that we can also heal through pleasure.
Yes.
And that's been a key component that has come up a lot in this particular income challenge. And I think it's had to come up because it's been such an intense challenge otherwise, you know?
Mm.
So, Kanya, what are the 3 lessons or meditations that in the course that you feel have made a huge impact on you and have been a big contributor to the shift in your money story and your mindset?
Yes. So the first one that comes to mind that really had an impact on me since joining is mostly the vow of ease. That
Mm,
the fact that it doesn't have to be difficult, making the money
yeah,
or whatever income goal you had, whether it
yeah.
is a certain figure per month or per year. It doesn't have to
Mm,
come with difficulty. It is possible for it to come with ease. And therefore,
yes,
also for one to not feel guilty for making it with ease. Rather, we need to
yes.
normalize making the money with ease. That was the first one.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love that. It's one of the, I don't know, like it's such a multi-layered thing, right? Because we speak, it's not really so much the vow of ease, it's so much like, I think there's so many lessons that are tied to ease, like the vow of service is directly linked to ease. So it's
Yes.
about how once we release the vow of service, it becomes we give ourselves permission to make money with ease, and releasing it in it throughout past lives or in this lifetime. And then also just we've been doing a lot of work on ease in the income challenge, because I
Yes.
feel like if we've set big goals and you've decided to quadruple, let's say you want to quadruple your income for the year, and you are already working 8 hours a day, if
Yes.
we are operating from the fact that we need to work harder to make that money, then the subconscious is going to instantly say, if I want to quadruple the amount of money I want to make, and I believe I have to work hard for money, then I may need to double or quadruple the amount of work I do, which is the amount of hours I'm working. So you go from working 8 hours to working now, then you instantly think I need to up the amount of work to 12, 16, sometimes 20 hours a
Yes.
day, you know?
Yes.
And then it's just, nobody wants to work that hard. A part of us is going to rebel and sabotage this income goal. So yeah,
Exactly.
I also love ease.
Yes, and also the fact that with so many of the motivational speakers, we've been always told to admire people who sleep for only a few hours. Like
Yeah.
motivational speakers, they would tell you that, guys, do you know that Warren Buffett only sleeps 4 hours a day, or that uh, Donald Trump gets up at 3 a.m. every day and then goes to sleep only at 11 p.m.
Can you imagine? And like, you see, that again is like negating the body on this journey to success. What
Yes,
we do and what we've been taught is to basically erase the body's needs in order
yes,
to succeed. So,
exactly.
like, it's this powerful thing. Sorry, I'm just going to let this motorbike go past. Is this thing of letting ourselves believe that the body is not part of this journey. And then when we get to the goal, we fall sick. And then we wonder, why did I fall sick? You know, it's
Yes,
like, oh, as soon as she reached, her company broke through to this particular income goal, she felt sick. Yo, witchcraft. No, it's like you were doing the very most and negating the body, and the body was asking you on this journey to pay attention, right?
yes,
But we've been taught that the only way to reach our goals is to deny our bodies. Then why are we on earth having a physical experience? We could have just stayed in spiritual form. If we were going to continue, well, in energetic form, we could have stayed that way. If we were just meant to never acknowledge the needs of the body, you know?
yes,
So I love that you've spoken about that. And
yes.
what are the other two lessons?
Then the other one was the, um, the the God wound. For example,
Yeah.
like forming a relationship with money, like writing letters to money. That one really, it
Mm,
really hit home.
yes.
That's where my aha moment came when I started writing letters to money,
Yes.
whereby I would say, money, I love you, you must love me, and you must stay in my life.
Yes. Oh, I
Yes,
love it. Oh, Kanya, I love that so much. And I didn't know that you did the God wound. The God wound is intense. You were very
yes,
silent when you were doing it. Like everyone that does the God wound usually comes into the group and just like has a full on meltdown. Oh my God, I'm at the God wound. My life is horrible right now. I can't talk to people. I don't want to talk to anyone, in fact. So, like, but you did it and you were just doing it at your own pace. How did you find that? The God wound, that is.
yes. Well, I found that by first by meditating and obviously trying to see like what would come up. In my case,
Yeah,
what came up during the meditation was a
yeah,
male figure, um, uh, uh, a male
yeah,
figure with a long beard, and I thought, okay,
yeah,
what message is this sending to me? And I'm still
yeah,
trying to figure out what message it is sending to me.
yeah. Wow. So, guys, I should add that the God wound comes with meditation. It's the vow to prove the unfairness of God. So,
Yes,
the premise of the God wound is that we carry some kind of anger towards the divine. Except the challenge is that we are divinity, and we have not, because we've been so wounded to find divinity outside ourselves, we
yes,
don't recognize that we are interconnected with the very view of the divine
yes,
that we have. So we need to understand our own divinity in order to start forgiving the source that we come from for so many of our sufferings, etc. So
yes,
the God wound can be quite intense because there's a lot that comes up when we start to realize, oh, sorry, there's this motorbike going up and down the village today. I don't know why. There can be so much pain when we realize how much we have negated our own divinity.
Yes.
And not only that, how much we have shrunk the divine into other people's um, concept of divinity, right?
Yes.
That the divine is, we can't explain it, we can't define it, but we have worked so hard to explain it, to define it, to put rules on it, to limit it, that there's so much pain that comes up for all of us, I think, once we start working through it, you know? And again, you don't even need to believe, to be religious, because I'm not, right? And I didn't grow up in a Christian setting or anything, but I started the God wound work because I realized that whatever my relationship with the divine was, there was
Yes.
some kind of brokenness to it. And it was stopping me from really expanding financially, you know. And that's where, when people are fully stuck and everything, they've tried everything, I'm going to say in inverted commas, everything, and
Yes.
nothing seems to be working, I always say start at the God wound. Your issue is the core of that, you know, and then really understanding how you are divinity and not classifying yourself in any way. And it's a 2 week lesson, and then the meditation, you have to do it every day together with all the other supplementary lessons. So it's not, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't take people 2 weeks. It takes some people like 2-3 months to get through the lesson, and that's all they'll do for months.
Yes.
It's a hectic lesson.
Yes. And also then,
Yeah.
also doing it also makes one realize that just because you make more money doesn't mean you are less holier than someone who is making less money,
Yeah.
which then also
Yes.
links up to the emotion of guilt and shame.
Mm.
Yes.
Exactly, because I think the other thing that I think we unlearn through the God wound is this belief that we are somehow, if we have more blessings, we are more favored than another person, that we
Yes.
are more blessed than another, that somehow God has chosen us, that we
Yes.
are God's chosen person. No,
Or we are better.
everyone is God's chosen person.
Exactly. And also that
Yeah.
we are not better, and that the person who is less blessed than you is not a worse person than you. So
Yes.
basically, by having more money, you are not better than the next person.
Amen, right? And I feel like that is such a core thing, because that's one of the things that I feel is so important, because then we are also able to see another person's divinity. Just because someone is down on their luck today
Yes.
doesn't mean that they are incapable of tapping into their own divinity and being on top in another year, in another 2 years. So we cannot judge another soul's journey and assume that they are lazy or they lack self-discipline, which is a big trigger for me when I hear people say people don't have money because they're lazy, they lack self-discipline, they just want to party. I'm like, wow, how do we just make these assumptions on a soul that is also divinity,
Yes.
also God in human
Yes.
form, you
Yes.
know? So once
Exactly.
we understand that everything is divine, there's a huge shift. And I see it in all the students. I think that we can all agree that the God wound is hectic because it brings us all to this point of understanding how we have judged ourselves, judged the divine, judged others, you know, and we do it. And it doesn't mean after this lesson we stop doing it. Heck, guys, like I am now nowhere near divinity, you know, like I judge, I get angry, I throw tantrums in the group. But the
Yes.
thing is just understanding that there is some kind of divine spark in all of us. And even as I'm doing the judgment and going crazy, maybe in another year, the people that I'm judging, which I still do judge, right? I'll come back and remember that, oh, there's something to this. I can stop judging now.
Yes, exactly. And then the third other meditation that I really liked, it was the vow of invisibility, because
Yes.
again, this might be also linked to ancestral trauma, in that
Yeah.
we are often taught that if you make more money and you become wealthy, then that is associated with you standing out. And if you stand out, you are more likely to be a target of criticism. You are more likely to be a target of attack and also scrutiny. So now, by doing the vow of invisibility, myself, I'm thinking that I realize that it's not there's nothing bad in like making more money and being more visible, because in a way it can actually serve as an inspiration for others.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love the sounds of that. Yeah, the vow. I'm still struggling with the vow of invisibility. I know what, and I'll keep saying this, guys. The vow of invisibility has nothing to do with the fact that I don't get scared showing up on live videos, that I have spoken in front of like thousands of people and I don't get stage fright. You know, not anymore, right? Like I had a moment, a very short moment in my life where I got stage fright, but I'm back to normal again. And I don't mind going out in front of people and just speaking, but it doesn't mean that I am okay being visible, because the vow of invisibility is about vulnerability. It is about allowing someone to truly see you, see you're crazy, right? You can be totally invisible standing in front of 1,000 people and smiling, right? Because what you have shown is what you want people to see versus the true you. So you are still invisibilizing yourself. And that is the vow of invisibility. And it affects us in so many ways on our money journey, which I won't talk about now.
And also with us as men, because we are often taught to not really like show our emotions. So we are often told that no, you don't cry, you don't show your emotion, you don't show your weakness. You must come across as that shining armor and be hard, which then makes it harder for more men to show up their emotions, because the term masculinity can almost be aligned to putting on a mask, so much so that it can be called masculinity, because you're putting on a mask.
Oh, that is so deep. Yeah. I remember the day you came in the group, Khanya, and then you were feedbacking on a breath work, the live breath work meditations we were doing. And you were saying, I felt like crying, but the male ego wouldn't let the tears fall. I was laughing so much.
Yes.
But that is so true. And honestly, what it does, that belief that men always have to be strong, that they never have to, show their emotions, is it completely causes a lot of men to bottle a lot of their things inside. So instead of seeking help, people just like spend time like in the pain and in the misery, because the fear is that you'll be told that you're not enough of a man, you're not man enough, even talking about your emotions and the pain and working through the trauma. And what it is that all that pain, all that trauma is literally stopping you from like excelling and being your best self, and also connecting on a deeper level with people, all people, you know. I remember when my sister was twasaring to become a sangoma, right?
Yes.
My dad went to visit her and he started crying. So for me, it wasn't like a new thing, right? Because my dad is a crier. I want to say he's a crier like that, but he cries, you know? And like, I think that as his kids, we are so emotional. Maybe we get it from him, right? And so everybody, when I came to visit my sister in the evening, everyone was like, oh, your dad was here, and he just cried and cried. And it was such a big deal for them, you know? And I was just like, what is the big deal? So yeah, he cried. He had his own emotional stuff and he just cried it out, and it's okay. You know. So And I guess for me, it wasn't a thing because I've seen my dad cry at times for things, you know?
Yes.
So I'm like, it's not that great a deal, and it shouldn't be so weird for a man to cry. But I guess in that space it was considered so intense that he cried. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Kanya, most people feel like they can do the work on their own. What and they'll just read my blog, or they'll listen to these videos and get the gist of what the course is about. What would you say to those people?
I would say to them that by thinking that way is almost the same as like saying, in order for you to go from where you are now, your starting point, to go to your destination where you want to be, it's basically almost like a straight line of saying to someone,
Yeah.
okay, this is where you are now, and where you want to go is is uh, is basically just you walking a straight line, and then you will
Yeah.
reach your destination after a few kilometers. But what they
Mm.
must know is that healing is a layered process. It's not just
Yeah.
a one-dimensional. It's
Yeah.
multi-dimensional because uh,
Yeah.
in order for you to heal, you need to go into each layer, and you need different tools
Yeah.
to go into each layer. So now,
Yeah.
by actually doing the work, the course, you will also be coming into a safe space, because the student group itself, it actually represents a safe space, a
Mm.
non-judgmental safe space where everyone
Yeah.
will be sharing their journeys, and
Yeah.
you'll be seeing how the different tools are making an impact on all the different students.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I love that as well about the student group.
Yes,
So, and
it's almost like saying that in order for you to pass this exam, you must just read the summary. You must not read the text. You just read the summary.
yeah, that's such a good point. Hey, I think that that's the thing. Someone asked me recently, "Can I just get your book? And surely what you've written in Heart, Mind, and Money will cover everything that you teach in the Money Magic course." And I was like, "Wow, what I wrote in Heart, Mind, and Money doesn't even feature in the Money Magic course. It's like so grade zero work." You know, it's like the money magic course is like a whole other animal on its own. But I
Yes,
think she listened and she heard, because she was like, okay, definitely the money magic course it is then. But
yes,
yeah, I like what you said, reading the summary versus doing the work. So
yes,
the inner work is almost daily work, Kanya, and sometimes it's emotionally hard. And I know that you're one of those people that shows up for the work. Do you have a process? Do you have a schedule? Do you have a tip for people that are just struggling to get into the work, or think, I want to do this, but I don't have the time? So, what
yes,
would you say to those people?
yes. Well, what has worked for me, it's not necessarily a fixed schedule of doing the work, but more of like doing breath work at least once a week. And
Yes,
also what I'm doing is keeping a journal, more like a meditation journal and a dream
yes.
journal. Yeah, because
Ooh,
after doing each meditation, and then especially the fact that most of the meditations are usually done more like towards the early evening before one sleeps. I found that
yes,
then after sleeping, then I realized that certain dreams come up. So by doing jotting down what I noticed during the meditations, especially the physical sensations, and
yes.
also jotting down what comes up in my dreams, I'm finding that it's motivating me to do more of the work.
Ah, that is so awesome. That is so powerful. I've heard some of the students keeping dream journals and writing down their dreams and how it's connected to the work. But like it's not been explained like that before. That is amazing. And I love how like everyone in the course finds a way that works for them. Like I definitely don't keep a dream journal, right? Like I completely don't always remember my dreams. So
Yes.
like this is awesome. I love the idea of keeping a dream journal. So
Yes.
Khanya, one last question is, what do you wish you had known before starting your money journey?
Yes, Ben. I wish I had been told that the money journey doesn't necessarily need to be very hard and sweating, and also it doesn't necessarily need to just all about have to be about mental discipline. I wish that I was also told that it is possible for it to be an easy ride, sort of linked to passive income. No, not necessarily just always being active and working long hours.
Yes, wow. Okay. So that is so powerful. I wish I'd been told the same thing. How do people get hold of you?
Okay, they can find me on Facebook, Khanya Ngonyama. They can contact me via Facebook Messenger, and I'm also available on WhatsApp. The number is 081 8947.
Hmm,
Yes,
okay.
and
So guys,
I'm also available on LinkedIn.
yeah, okay. So you guys know Kanya is great at real estate investing. So if you want to know more about Airbnb and get coaching around that and all that, he's your person, right? So definitely contact him for that. Thank you so much, Kanya, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for this opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you so much, Money Magicians, for tuning in once more to this series. I'm loving it. If you guys are loving the series, loving the sounds of it, loving what you hear, please share it with your family and friends. And if you feel inspired and called to sign up for the Money Magic course as you're listening to all the guests, then definitely check out the Money Magic course at wealthy-money.com/money magic. Again, wealthy-money.com/money magic. If the course is not open for registration, get your name on the waiting list. Once we open for registration, I'll send you several emails. I'll tell you guys how to sign up for the course. And of course, always just reach out to me on Facebook via inbox. You'll find me under Wealthy Money on Facebook, right? So inbox the Wealthy Money page. If you're connected to me personally on Facebook, message me at Vangile Makwakwa. Also, I'm Vangile Makwakwa on Twitter and Instagram. So thank you once more, Khanya, for joining us. This has been incredible.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.